In regard to 2027 general election, the opposition are taking a right step, which we can call it a bold strategic movement to make sure that they unseat President Bola Ahmed Tinubu coming 2027. Well, if this is your first time coming across our channel, welcome to Nigerian Prince News Extra. Please do us a favor by clicking on your subscribe button and don't forget to on your notification bell.
Obi and Kwankwaso being invited to come to NDC. Let me start with you. Ibadan convention, so to say, Ibadan gathering of those who are interested in coalescing. PDP was there, ADC was there, and some other parties. For the first time, they are acting like a coalition. We've given them that credit, but there are fractions inside, and there are fragments inside. Some of them are saying we want the presidency to remain in the south, and some are saying let's just pick the most popular candidate, not minding whether it's from the south or from the east or from anywhere, the most experienced candidate, and that might be treated to as Atiku, the most experienced candidate. Then if you think of going to the south, you think of P2B, maybe Amechi, and the likes. Now, just a day after the gathering of those who are interested in coalescing, we are hearing that Obi and Kwankwaso are being invited to NDC. Does it mean they have made up their mind that the issue of having the singular candidates, that the coalition might end up presenting Atiku? So how many coalitions are we going to end up with this kind of formation?
But my position has always been clear that one of the most disorganizing personality in the coalition is Atiku Abubakar. His supporters or he himself may not like what I'm saying, but I think it's the greatest factor of disorganization. That's been number one. Number two, in that coalition, I will talk about the coalition before I go to the NDC. Now, there's what we call blind spot when you are driving, and until those blind spots, you have to now use your senses to look at it. Then we are also called, in contrast, there's what we call gray areas. When you look at those gray areas and look at how you can settle those gray areas, then you move on. That's why I say these opposition are not serious. And they are not serious at all, especially the coalition they are talking about. You can't step on things and say, let's overlook it, let's just move forward. The gray areas we are talking about, the south is the turn of the south to do their 8 years. If not, all the southern people will queue behind the southern man. Some of the northern people that are also eyeing the presidency after this one, that are not qualified to go in and that are still governors, will not support a northern candidate. Of course, Sani Oba is looking at the presidency. The governor of NAIJA State looking at the presidency. That's in 4 years' time.
2031.
2031. So a lot of them are looking at the presidency. So it's going to be their turn. They're not going to say, okay, let us queue behind Atiku Abubakar. So these are the gray area. Let's leave this presidency. If the coalition is coming together, they will say, let's leave this presidency for the North to finish their 4-year term. Sorry, for the South, thank you. For the South to finish their 4-year term. Then we'll come back to what we can do with the North in the next 8 years.
But Atiku has said that 2027 is going to be his last chance of being on ballot. Is almost sure that
yes, that's why we will make sure he will not come to the ballot at all.
Please, before we continue, do me a favor by clicking on your subscribe button. Just the only way to encourage and support us.
So that's what. So if they can settle most of these gray areas,
do you think Obi Kwankwaso should accept going to NDC?
Oh, sure. So let me talk on the side of the NDC. Now, the NDC is the one that are also looking as if they don't have issues on their fringes. As it is right now, they are not in court with anybody. They are duly registered as it is now. One man is in charge, so to speak, of that political party. We don't know if they are going to have issues later. Exactly. So the NDC looks clean as it is. If you are passing through security, this thing, you say, let's check in. So it's new. So if they are being invited to come to the NDC, I think is a. Of course, there are other things there, but NDC is good for them.
All right, let me come to you. He talked about the gray areas. In the morning, we also talked about that. People like Obi, saying that the presidency should go to the south. Such that you have a southern incumbent competing with the southern new alternative to Nigeria. And P2B appears to fill that box of a great alternative to Nigeria. Outside party affiliations, P2B's fiscal responsibility, philosophy, it kind of appeals to Nigeria. When you look at what he did when he was governor, he met debt. He left no debt. There's this sense of what you have is what you should spend. Do not do more than yourself in our own local way of putting it. The waiting not we afford, not the hungry. Let me put it that way. That would be modest philosophy. It appears to be appealing to Nigerians because of the wasteful nature we are finding in the government today. Isn't it time for a coalition that wants to present alternative, use that opportunity to say, okay, we are sending this thing to the south. Instead, we are also hearing that the essence of Makinde putting these things together, the meeting together, was to be seen as somebody who can mobilize, to be a position of being a vice president. Do you think Obi and Kwankwaso should just straight away go to NDC or even any party of their choice, not necessarily only NDC?
Very well. The Ibadan Opposition Political Summit, had a lot of agenda on their table and a lot of things were discussed. Most of them are not made public. The Ibadan Convention or Ibadan Summit was to decide a particular political platform to be considered for the opposition to use for in 2027, considering the antecedent of the ruling party. As of today, you all are aware that no political party is stable. The major opposition party, the ADC, their fate is hanging on the air. The PDP, led by Turaki, their fate is hanging on the air. Why do I say their fate is hanging on the air? The Supreme Court has adjourned the ruling in their matter to indefinitely. No date is in sight. And the Electoral Act is there. So one of the reasons why the summit held in Ibadan was for the opposition to appraise the situation and to say, okay, where do we go from here if this happens? What platform are we going to use? And from the grapevine, we heard that their political party penciled down. The NDC is one of them, PRP is one of them, and the APP is one of them. Yes, what the NDC have done, straight up, was to put themselves forward. They know the most prized candidate for the 2027 in the opposition camp today is Peter Obi. And Peter Obi, joining ticket with Kwankwaso, as we have it, OK movement, will be a great sell for the opposition. And what they have done is to take a step further to see that they hold these two personalities into their camp, so that by when the opposition is taking a final decision, they will see that these two persons are already in their camp. But the issue before us here is whether the opposition will zero on one candidate as they pronounce in Ibadan, because Atiku said he must be on the ballot and 2027 is his last chance. And if what we also heard from the Ibadan summit is anything to go by, Makinde being the last term in office as a governor, also eyeing the presidency, and the fact that he does not have that clout to go for the president, he may want to queue behind the man he fought against in 2023 and the person of Atiku Abubakar in connivance with a wicked to work against his own political party. So there are so many permutations. So the NDC coming out at this time is a right step in the right direction. But again, the NDC, it may look as if it doesn't have problem at the moment, but it look more of a regional or a particular party that is just on one side. The PRP as it is today, if you look at the chairman of the PRP, is a seasoned politician. He's the first to resign from this government, and the one who said people who are above 65 to stay away from contesting into offices. So when you look at all this together, the people who are involved, yes, the NDC look attractive. It looks as if it's free. The PRP is also very free, because if you have the kind of Baba Ahmed as a chairman of a political party, you can be rest assured that the party will select the right person for the right offices. Therefore, the summit today, as it were, and the core of the NDC or Peter Obi and Kwankwaso to join them is as a result that the so-called summit, the so-called coalition, do not arrive at a specific or a reliable conclusion. That is why, because the call was not just made, It is from the fallout of the discussion that the NDC sees that there were no proper agreement, that they are now making this virtue to Peter Obi and Kwankwaso to come to their fold, because they found out that the so-called coalition in Ibadan is also geared towards one person, as it were, in the ADC.